Greetings, Gamer Nation. I'm Eliza Lambert. So you've played D&D, you've stolen drinks from more barkeeps than you can count, and slit the throats of the entire city guard of Waterdeep. What else does the world of tabletop role-playing games have to offer you? Today we're here to discuss Delta Green. This is an RPG of modern conspiracy and horror from Arcadream Publishing. And I have one of the game's co-creators here with me today. We have Dennis Detwiller. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Eliza. It's nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah. I love chatting nerds, so let's get right into it.
Well, you came to the right place. I'm an ultimate nerd. As you can see behind me, D&D, Star Frontiers, Gamma World,
Yeah. I've got an eclectic collection of nerdisms. I'm still a baby RPG game player. I've only played D&D, which is why I do these little things.
Nice.
Yeah. So tell me about what the characters do in Delta Green.
Okay. So if you're familiar with H.P. Lovecraft and the idea of Cthulhu, Delta Green we just took that idea and moved it up from the 1920s. We said, what would happen if the U.S. government actually found out there were fishmen under the ocean trying to resurrect a multi-dimensional god from beyond time and space who would drive you insane and destroy the entire world. And Delta Green is kind of that. It's an agency of lone men and women who break the law on a daily basis while being within the law to stop these horrible elder gods from rising up and destroying all of humanity. And they hide this because the information contained within these books and ideas is so poisonous to mankind, it's like radioactive material for the mind. It spreads, it kills. You understand the truth of the universe and it's your end. You're destroyed just from the ideas. So that's Delta Green gets in there and cleans that stuff up.
That's a really interesting concept. I like that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's fun.
So as someone who has only played D&D, or people like me who have only played D&D, what will we find familiar in this game and what will be difficult or different for us?
Well, a lot of the classic D&D tropes are inverted. So everything will be familiar, pretty much. You'll look at it and you'll go, oh, this is like a police procedural with tentacles. It's like Law and Order, but the inversions happen like magic items. It's like pulling a pin on a hand grenade to open a magic book in Delta Green. You don't know what you're going to get. It could drive you insane. It could turn you into a ghoul. It could transport you 2,000 years in the past. And the agents kind of know these things, and they're extremely paranoid about handling magic items. Magic in Delta Green is called non-Euclidean science. It's bending angles and drawing sigils that bend space-time. It's a science so far ahead of humanity that we can't even conceive it. So it's incredibly dangerous. The other stuff you'll recognize is like huge end-of-the-world plots pop up in Delta Green a lot. D&D, you're used to the cult trying to call down the god that's going. Delta Green does a lot of that, but imagine that taking place behind a 7-Eleven in Des Moines, Iowa, in the middle of 2 a.m. at night, and you're the only people who know anything about it except for the clerk who bought a book off of eBay that happens to be a translation of Johann Proust's Mysteries of the Occult, which has a spell that could destroy the world, and you've just found out about it. It's all over the internet, but this guy downloaded it and is actually trying to use it. So, but as far as D&D goes, high action, high drama, deep characterization, lots of danger, lots of magic. They'll recognize all of that.
All right. So you were kind of like saying like behind a 7-Eleven. Can you make it like, is there a set place that your games and your campaigns have to take place in, or can you make it be a real life place?
It could be anywhere. So Delta Green, the idea of modern Delta Green is, and this is, a thumbnail, is basically there's an illegal conspiracy within the U.S. federal government of people, less than, say, 200 people who know the truth about mankind and the history of the world. They know that man is maybe the 6th or 7th civilization on the planet. the rest being monstrous things going back to the beginning of time, who are buried in, the permafrost, who wake up from time to time, who live on the bottom of the ocean. And you have to kind of find and hunt these things. And if the truth ever got out, it would be the end of all humanity. And that's what you're fighting. Those 200 people are organized in a legal conspiracy around the United States, and they work out of, usually they're FBI agents or park rangers or usually a federal employee of some sort, and they all know each other in kind of almost a pseudo-social secret organization. And they clean up the mess. And they make sure no one finds out about it. And everything they're doing when they flash their FBI badge or shoot someone in Des Moines behind the 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. is totally illegal. And if they get caught or put on the news or anything, they're going to jail just like anybody else. And of course, they can't spill the secret. They can't go, oh, I had to kill the guy. Otherwise, most of Iowa would be gone. It would be a crater 5 miles deep because the thing from beyond the stars would wake up and start, they just go to jail. So it's a fun game.
Yeah. Do you have similar kind of character creation sheets to D&D with character traits?
Yeah, you would recognize.
What I was thinking was kind of like roll per persuasion, like try to convince someone.
Totally. You would at a glance you would recognize the character sheet. You wouldn't go. It wouldn't be baffling. The biggest change is we deal with percentages. So when you do roll something like, say, persuasion, which you can, you're rolling under a number of 1 out of 100, basically. You're really good at it or you're really crappy at it, you roll. Now, I will say Delta Green does things very differently when it comes to sanity and violence. So the game is much more like the real world when it comes to violence. There's no plot immunity, skipping through Conan style, cutting people up. Chances are if a gun comes out, everybody's going to have a really bad time. And that's part of the joy of the game, is this ever escalating, when are we going to see the beastie? And are our guns going to be able to do anything to the beastie? And the answer is usually not much. You probably should have done some research beforehand or run or, and then sanity is almost like hit points for the mind. When you see these things from beyond space-time, some of them are so inhuman and so terrifying that you literally go mad looking at them, and your character can slowly degrade over time. And you take damage in areas like violence and helplessness, and depending on what the stimulus is like, your character degrades, and you can become hardened, which is really interesting. You can become like you're a combat veteran, so you've seen so much violence that it no longer even bothers you, but it flattens your social skills. So you go to persuade the guy, and you're like, you go to roll your skill, and you're like, yeah, give it up, or I'm going to shoot you. And that's as persuasive as you can be, and so it's got some interesting interplay there, which is fun at the table. It's really weird to play characters who are on the edge. So
definitely sounds intriguing. That's a cool concept. I like that idea of sanity.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's really fun. So
so tell me, what is a peak moment in Delta Green that you've had, whether playing or running it?
Oh man, way too many to list. So I wrote a campaign called Impossible Landscapes, which is a huge Delta Green campaign. It's about 360 pages, and it tracks the King in Yellow. And I don't know if you know anything about that, but basically, the idea of the King in Yellow is everything is part of this play. There's this mad, insane play, and that's the reason for the whole world. Everybody is just an ancillary part in somewhere this play is going on. So I ran a scenario where the players played in a normal Delta Green operation. They went into Impossible Landscapes, and when they got there, they found a stage set of their apartments that they live in as characters, down to the smallest detail. So they got to this abandoned theater and opened the door, and it's the first character's apartment, which I'd spent months describing to them. Because we had played session after session, you have the Cool Hand Luke poster on the wall, and the stereo you got from your dad, and it's all here in this room. And then even later on in Impossible Landscapes, they found the man making all these props. And there was an entire room with this old man who all he did was build the stereo that he got from his dad over and over and over again. The Cool Hand Luke poster, he drew it by hand and put it in a frame, and there were dozens of them. And the players just lost it. They were just like, what? Like, so that was really fun. So psychological horror, getting into people's minds and coming up with really cool kind of slow things you might see in a TV show or something, and actually playing them at the table is just awesome. So that's the new one, The Monster, the giant book. It's the King of Yellow. That's the one with the weird prop room.
This is producer Ben. Could you show us the inside? Anything particularly interesting inside?
Let me see if I can find something good. This is my heart and soul inside. This is like 118 paintings. All these are paintings. And then 300 like 150 handouts or something like that. Like here's a United Airlines ticket from 1995, which we had to look up. Here's a portable phone that you get midway through the mission, not to ruin anything. But if you talk on that phone with headquarters for about half the game, and then when you bust open the phone finally, because the battery never runs down, it's filled with dirt and a small vial with a gold bug in it that's somehow still alive. And then the phone stops working, which is awesome. Okay. Players do not like that at all, by the way. They got really upset. And then they found a duplicate of that phone later, and they were like, okay, well, I guess we need to call headquarters. So yeah, it's really fun. I missed that game.
So tell me a little bit about the creative team behind this game. I know you and your co-creator, Shane.
So Delta Green, originally, I'm really old. So in the 90s, me and John Tynes, seriously. Me and John Tynes and Scott Glancy created Delta Green. John came up with the initial concept. Scott and I kind of expanded that book, and we worked really hard in the 90s to make these big books. We relaunched it in the 2015 or so, 2014, and Shane became kind of an integral part of the team, and he is a writer and an editor, and he does just great work. So today it's me. It's mostly me, Shane, and Caleb Stokes, who's another author who wrote another RPG called Red Markets, which you might have heard of. And I do all the art and art direction. Shane does writing and development and editing and publishing. And Caleb does writing and editing and, whatever we need him to do. And that's our team mostly. Just three.
So you do most of the art in the
all the art in the books, is me. So
oh my gosh, the art in your game is like horrifying in the best way possible. I love it.
Oh great, that's precisely what I was going for. So
very cool.
Yeah. So I paint all that stuff. That's what I started as an illustrator. I did that professionally for many years, and then went into video games, and then came back to RPGs. So.
A natural selection.
Course. The reverse of what most people do.
So in order to play your game, what would someone need, and where would they be able to find it?
Sure. There's something really neat that we did that I really love. And this is, I think, Shane's idea initially. We did a book called Delta Green Need to Know. And if you go to Drive Through RPG, Delta Green Need to Know is everything you need to play Delta Green. It includes a full session, like a full mission, 6 pre-made characters, all the rules, and it's free. It's pay what you want. So you just go on there. It's a really beautiful book. You type in 0 when you want to pay, because I know you don't need to worry about it. Just download it, have fun, and then you'll come back and buy the bigger books. But it's great fun, and the mission in there is awesome. It's people just rave about that mission. So I deeply recommend it. So go out there, download it. It's free. Have fun.
All right. I like free. I like fun. It's a good combo.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
All right. Is there anything that we didn't talk about yet about the game that you want to add before we wrap it up?
Well, since it's kind of rebirth and re-release, when we put out the big set, we've done something like, I don't know, 1,200 pages of, color book. And we're just grinding away on new books. We have 6 books in the hopper. I'm working on Delta Green, The Conspiracy, which is right now, which is taking the original 1997 Delta Green and updating it to the new rule set with new art. So all I'm doing every day is painting oil paintings of monsters, which is awesome. It's like dream job.
That's the dream.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm doing that, and that's coming out soon. And we just had a very successful Kickstarter for that, which unlocked a bunch of books, and I think raised $512,000, which is just blows my mind. And thank you to the fans. And if you want to see the work in progress, go to my Patreon page. So it's just patreon.com/Detwiller, my last name, that's with 2 L's. And that's for $1, you gain access to hundreds of pages of Delta Green content, arts. Everything I'm working on goes up there first for playtest. So if you like playtesting scenarios before they go out to the public, just hop on there for $1. You get, I put all of Impossible Landscapes up there, which is like 300 pages as I wrote it, and people gave me feedback and played it, and it was awesome. I love engaging. We have almost 1,000 people on there, and they send me notes. They go, "Oh, this stinks," or "This is amazing," and it just helps the books sing. So, this is the box set. So this is the monster book, and then I'll show you the 2 books. So this is the Agent's Handbook, which is everything you need to play Delta Green. And this keeps the secrets. So if you're a player, you can read this whole book and not know what's really going on. Which is a big core center of the game. And this is the Handler's Guide, which is all about the monsters and horrors that haunt Delta Green. Has all the magic, has all the rules for that, and the history of Delta Green in here. So, these are labors of love. Everything in here was a nightmare to put together, but I love getting the books back when they're done.
Yep. That's always how it is. Takes forever to get it together, and it's still frustrating. And then finally, when you get it, it's just
it's magic. And then 25 seconds until you find the first error in it. Every time.
Constant improvement. That's what we're all
Gotta
about.
try. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
No
so
problem.
Gaming Nation, if you're interested in some other conversations we got coming up, we'll be learning about Nightflex Agents on October 17th, Blue Rose, the RPG of romantic fantasy, on October 24th. Yeah, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, those are two of my favorite people too. So Ken Heights and Nicole Lidrus. They're for Blue Rose is Nicole, and Black Agents is Ken Height, and they're awesome guys. Ken actually worked on the Delta Green core set as well. So
one big happy nerdy family.
Yeah, we all know each other for decades. It's really sad.
Well, this show's producer and co-creator, Ben Riggs, has a book on RPG adventure design theory called Encounter Theory, also available on drivethrurpg.com. Check out the show notes below if you're interested. So if you like what you hear, email us at afterdndplay@gmail.com, and on Twitter, we are AfterDND. So hit that subscribe button below to never miss an episode. Tell a friend about the show. And with that, I'm the guide to your next great geeky game, Eliza Lambert, signing off. And thank you for joining us today, Dennis. We had a great time.
Thanks so much. It was fun.